Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. I'm JT, joined by the usual gang. We got Jake, Frank, Lounis. We're back. There will be 2 more episodes after this one before the draft happens in terms of the Dynasty Podcast episodes. So we're catching up. We're getting close. But I guess we'll lead off with some sad news right off the bat. Dwayne Haskins passed away over the weekend. He was, I guess the story is his car ran out of gas and he was looking for help. And a garbage truck, a dump truck couldn't slow down in time when he was going to pass the interstate. And he tragically passed away. So, prayers out to his family. It's very unfortunate.
Dude, you want to know what?
Yep.
Twitter was super toxic after that for so many different reasons.
Twitter was crazy.
Because you have people going at Adam Schefter's throat saying he should be fired. You have this super toxic group of people being like, oh, he's a bust, who cares? Like, holy shit, it was hard to be on the app.
Yeah, the replies underneath made you wonder, like,
are these people real?
Yeah.
Are these people exist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All bots.
No, but that's really sad. I follow a ton of Steelers players, and he was out training in the locker room, so it was pretty sad to see.
Well, yeah, I feel like this might be a little bit too early of a transition, but now you got me thinking about the other news that dropped today. Dwayne Haskins, obviously drafted by Dan Snyder. He had a connection with Snyder's family. I think Snyder's son went to the same high school as him or something like that. They somehow knew each other there. But now Washington Commanders are in the news, and that is for 2 separate books. They were hiding the ticket revenue, some extra ticket revenue, which is going to be a big deal according to all the talking heads, because that essentially means that Snyder was taking money from owners around the league because they're part of a revenue split. Every team split some percentage of whatever they saw. So it's looking like this could be the end of the Dan Snyder regime in Washington, which I've seen plenty of Washington fans celebrate.
Yeah, and other owners, not even just Washington fans, but other owners can't wait to kick him out. So they're going to try to use this too.
Speaking of Washington too, I've been seeing a ton of rumors. They brought in all 3 of the top consensus running backs for meetings. Among the dynasty circles, people are starting to be scared for Antonio Gibson shares if they draft a running back high in the draft.
Well, okay.
Any thoughts on that?
Hold on. You might have just made an impromptu segment here, Frank, because I think we have a couple panic meter running backs that we should be looking into based on what's going on. I guess first we'll start with Antonio Gibson, though. Yeah, I would be panicked about this because it just seems like J.D. McKissic was about gone to Buffalo, right? Buffalo was paying him a solid amount of money. He was leaving to go to Buffalo, and then inexplicably he came back to Washington, which means he's going to have a role in this offense. That already hurts my opinion of Antonio Gibson because we saw he couldn't take on the full 3-down role with McKissic there. And now on top of that, we also have, like you said, the running backs looking at Washington or visiting with Washington. So to me, where Antonio Gibson's currently priced, which is around top 10 running back dynasty value, it feels not great just buying at that price. If I can transition from Antonio Gibson to, say, a Leonard Fournette or another like old running back like a Saquon or something and pick up, I think you're just getting points, and I think you're getting points for your fantasy team now, and I think the extra longevity might be overplayed because who knows what Antonio Gibson will be in 2 years? Who knows what he'll be next year?
Yeah, so I really agree with that. I was more so concerned with Antonio Gibson just from watching the Washington football team games. Yo, Jake, you got some whales in your apartment or something. What's going on over there?
Someone's riding a motorcycle outside my apartment. They're going wild.
Dude, someone is racing their way off the Antonio Gibson train.
Yeah.
Did you say some way?
Dude, because I agree with JT. I think Antonio Gibson, my opinion of him is that he's kind of like a budget Zeke. where he's the type of dude you can feed him carries. He kind of gets better as the game goes on, but he doesn't really seem to have the juice that you really would like, or at least consistently. I think it's kind of on and off. And JD McKissick was someone to me that you get the ball in his hands in space. He's just more dangerous than Antonio Gibson was. My move, though, for Antonio Gibson that I did in our home league was to move Antonio Gibson into Gallup in a first. I think you could do that with like Mike Williams is another good example. Juju, depending on the hype, but receivers in that tier plus a first. Because I agree, you could go for Leonard Fournette if you're going for the true, like I need to replace a running back route. But I think that those are three receivers that are underpriced. They could have a good 160, 170 point floor with potential like 220, even maybe more point ceiling, and the draft capital to cash in and kind of wait on. That's my move with Antonio Gibson.
I like both of those moves. I really do. I've always been kind of, I guess, below consensus on Antonio Gibson. I've always thought he was kind of overrated. I didn't really think he was ever going to get the 3-down back. Obviously, he was a receiver at Memphis and transitioning to running back, and he looked okay in games. He looked not good in games. I just thought he was never a true running back. I guess my question here is, what picks straight up could you get for Antonio Gibson in this draft? How high of a first-round pick could you get in this year's draft?
You'd have to be able to get a top half. You know?
Right. That's my question. If I think you can get a top half and you could turn Antonio Gibson straight up into Drake London, Kenneth Walker, any of those guys, that caliber of player, I think that's a smash right there.
That was the name I was going to bring up, Kenneth Walker. Would you guys rather have Antonio Gibson or Kenneth Walker right now in Dynasty?
Obviously, Kenneth Walker comes with a little bit of a red flag at this point, is just that you don't know where he's going to land. You don't know what draft capital, you don't know what team, what scheme. So if you're going to do it now, it's a little bit more risky, but I think you will get a better price on the pick, I guess.
So Keep Trade Cut.
I'd rather have Gibson.
Keep Trade Cut has 104, like dead even with the price of Gibson. So you're not getting Breece Hall, but you're
getting one of those top
there's like a
receivers
50-50 shot you could get Kenneth Walker.
I think the real question now is, because I think we can kind of all agree, maybe not Lounis because Lounis likes Gibson, but even Lounis I think would agree with this. Top 10 running back price. Okay, we're all out on Gibson. What if we move him down a couple spots? What if we move him more towards RB13, RB14, like way closer to that Kenneth Walker kind of price? Well, all of a sudden, what are you doing then? Because I think at that point, even with the risk of them taking a running back,
I like him at that price. I like it.
Like, are you really selling there?
I like him at that price. I posed that question because I think like that would be the comparison, but I'd rather have Gibson. I would, like, I know they brought them in for workouts. I would be shocked if they brought in one of those top 3 guys. Especially
we are talking about the Washington football team, right?
That's true. No, I know, but I don't think Ron Rivera is like a bad decision. I would be shocked, but regardless, I still like him a lot. Like, I think the 104 price is a little bit high because then you could get like a Treylon Burks there if you wanted. But like compared to like the 106, I'm leaning Gibson, especially like an RB13 price. What is he on Keep Trade Cut right now?
Is he still RB10 on Keep Trade?
He's RB9.
Yeah.
Man.
So
he's ahead of the
I was just
CMC,
curious.
Dalvin, Saquon. He's ahead of all those guys.
Okay.
I was just curious what on top of Antonio Gibson gets you 101, Breece Hall, whatever you want to look at it as. And it says Antonio Gibson and 211 in this year's draft is equal to 101.
You'd have to pay a little bit of vig on top. There's no way that because like when you're trading up, it's usually hard to do even like a slight overpay in value on trade calculators usually doesn't get it done.
So what? You have to give up 20.
I think you'd have to give up like a 205 in value, like a Sky Moore. Maybe like a Juju. Juju might be a little pricey, especially with the hype in Kansas City. But someone around there or slightly lower than that, I think is what you'd have to do. I'm not sure I would want to do that.
Ooh,
I would.
To get Breece Hall, give up Antonio Gibson and Juju. Kind of sounds nice.
See, to me, that's a team context move, because if you're a team that's already struggling for depth, even though Breece Hall I think is a fantastic player, I'd have to think about that.
I would do that trade, but also because I don't think Juju's going to be the number one receiver by like probably like mid-season on that offense. I think they're going to draft someone.
You guys may convince me. Maybe I would do it.
I think the name Juju there is a weird name too, because I think there's a lot of other players around that aren't like as flashy as the name Juju is. So I'd do it. Because with Breece Hall, like he has the chance to be the running back too in Dynasty after this year. It's definitely in his range of outcomes of being the running.
Isn't
back
he
too.
already like RB4?
Something like that. But he's pretty, like, all things considered. It's like think about this year trying to trade for the 101 to compare to last year with 101 and Trevor Lawrence. Like, it was impossible trying to get to the 101. Like, we were talking about, would you give up Justin Herbert for the 101 kind of thing? Which, I mean, obviously Justin Herbert's definitely more valuable now.
Well, also because last year 101, like the hype Trevor Lawrence was getting, like people assumed like Lawrence would have like a Herbert type rookie year, which is what increased the price of 101 last year.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, 101 just way more expensive in all things considered. I don't know if we have anything else we want to add on Antonio Gibson. To me, I just think if I could back out at the price he's currently at, I'd rather a less risky option. But there's another running back that I want to talk about and see if you guys are panicking on him, because in a similar vein, we have J.K. Dobbins, who basically all of the Ravens running backs tore their ACL last year, and J.K. Dobbins was one of them. Gus Edwards is coming back. J.K. Dobbins is coming back. But they're also looking for players like Melvin Gordon was apparently there for a visit and could potentially be signing there. They are also one of the teams that could potentially take a running back early in this draft. Any panic on J.K. Dobbins?
No.
No.
Okay, this is like a little bit of a quasi no. I think that for people that are expecting crazy immediate production, we have to remember J.K. Dobbins is coming off an ACL tear. I don't think that the ACL tear for running backs is as favorable as people are making it out to be, right?
Just look at Saquon last year.
Yeah, like, I think that this is a process that it's not like, oh, he's back on the field, he's ready to go. Like, I think we need to chill on our expectations. But like long term, I think J.K. Dobbins is fine. If I'm the Ravens, of course I'm bringing in a fucking running back. Both of my top two, both my running backs tore their ACL. Like, you saw how annoying it was for the Ravens, the clown fiesta at running back. I mean, they brought in like the telltale sign.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, if Le'Veon Bell, if you're signing Le'Veon Bell, it's like, you know you're desperate, right? Yeah. You know you're desperate.
Well, Le'Veon Bell did not expect. Sorry to Le'Veon Bell, I know you're watching, but he just got torched.
I mean, he's just washed. He's just washed. Let's just call a spade at this point. So if you're telling me I could go out in the third round and like trade up and get a Brian Robinson and just bolster my running back room on a team that, might I add, runs the ball more than like everyone else, why not? We're trying to win a Super Bowl. So like, okay, maybe not be great for fantasy, but at the same time, I think that J.K. Dobbins he's not going to be a bell cow, whether you like it or not. I think that the most he was going to play, whether they sign a running back or not, was going to be like 60% of the snaps, 55% of the snaps. But he'd get the workload he needs anyway.
That's the point I was about to say with Dobbins. With him being in the offense, with how often they run the ball and everything, he doesn't need to be like in on like 80% of snaps for him to get a decent amount of touches every game. And that's why I'm with you, Frank and Jake. I still like Dobbins a lot. Is he still ahead of JT? Is he still ahead of Gibson on rankings?
Pretty sure no. But
Gibson's ahead of him now? Okay.
Gibson is running back 9. Dobbins is running back 13. But the points between those two is like less than 100. It's 100.
Oh, okay. It's like super close. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing with that offense. We've seen like multiple running backs have like decent games. Like we saw a bunch of games where like Gus Edwards as the RB2 would get like 10 carries for like 60 yards or something. I still like him a lot. I think we were all really high on him going into last season. before he got injured. And I do know that torn ACL is like, it's not as like a lock to be okay as other guys, but Saquon also started having like other injuries, like he injured his foot, he had like a bad ankle sprain for a bit. If he starts having like those other minor injuries add up, I'd be concerned, but I think as of right now, I feel like comfortable with it.
Dobbins is in a really weird spot where part of me, because you're right, I like Dobbins' talent. I think he's a phenomenal player. He's in a great situation, yada, 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 yada. But at the same time, if I can move him for David Montgomery and net the difference in like, what is that? Probably like a mid-second difference on keep trade cut.
I'll tell you in a second.
Whatever that difference is, I would be hard pressed to turn that down. There's like it's like the right shoulder, left shoulder, angel and devil scenario where one dude's like, but you like Dobbins. And then the other guy's like, no, I want the second of David Montgomery, you know?
It's actually only 311 allegedly. The difference between the two.
Okay, yeah. So
Dobbins has fallen though, because Dobbins, I feel like not too long ago, like 2 months ago, he was like in like the top 8, top 9.
The Melvin Gordon rumors probably knocked him down a decent amount.
So that's priced in. Interesting.
Because he was top 10 for a while during the season, like the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it right now, he went from running back. He's running back 9, running back 8, just like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, wow, that's crazy. He wasn't even signed. It was just the threat.
I know, but it was that, and then the rumors about like the Ravens drafting someone. I think it was a combination of that.
I think it's and like you said, Frank, the two running backs, the two main running backs tore their ACL. I think it's a very real possibility that the Ravens have another running back, and that's kind of always been my issue with Dobbins in terms of like he just seems like a running back by committee guy. Like I don't know if he's ever going to get the full workload for the Ravens, which will limit his upside.
But at the same time, too, though, look at the Patriots offense with Damian Harris. I think that's a concern with Damian Harris is that they do the running back by committee stuff. But when it comes to the juicer carries, I mean, when it comes time to red zone, who are you giving the ball to? It's J.K. Dobbins. He's going to be on the field. That's what the Ravens did and have done. So
I just think this offense now can definitely develop though, because you got Mark Andrews who was catching, I forget, he had a crazy number of touchdowns last year. You got Bateman and Hollywood who both can have a massive target share. So I don't see Dobbins catching the ball a whole lot, and Lamar still likes to run the ball, especially around the red zone. So
yeah, but the thing is, dude, because I thought the same thing years ago. If you look at 2 years ago, Dobbins' anytime touchdown score was crazy value every week. And one of the things that's underrated is that, yes, he's not a great pass catcher, but they'll kind of do some Aaron Jonesy bullshit with him where they'll like give him fly sweeps and line him up in these weird spots. Now, it's not as much of a receiver role as Aaron Jones, but in terms of like shovel passes, touch passes, little random crap, with the skill set of the Ravens, that's how they use Dobbins a lot in the red zone, which results in a lot of tutties.
I think my issue though also is like you compared him to the likes of Damian Harris, like he's just worth significantly more than Damian Harris. Like,
also he's a significantly more talented running back.
Is he significantly more talented? Like, what has J.K. Dobbins shown you that shows he's significantly more talented than Damian Harris?
But it's also, that might be a conversation of Damian Harris being underpriced more so than, I mean, maybe it's a little both that Dobbins is
I think it's both.
And
meet me in the middle somewhere here. I think they're both. Yeah, I think that's probably more what we're looking at. Maybe it's Dobbins and Damian Harris are overvalued and undervalued respectively. But it's weird. Like the Dobbins is in a range right now where it's like 100 trade cut points is like separating running back 9 from running back like 15, 16, running back 16. Like there's just that big tier of players that you can move up and down in. And I don't love Dobbins at where he is. Especially
so what you're telling me, JT, is you're on the sell all Ravens bandwagon.
No, I'm just buy all Ravens that probably aren't.
JT is the opposite. He's buy all Ravens except for Dobbins.
I would love a team that. No, I'm probably selling. No,
JT's the buy all Ravens except for everyone not named Bateman.
No, I'm believe it or not, I really like Hollywood Brown at his current price.
He's so undervalued.
Yeah.
JT,
Hollywood,
you can't get JT, you can't
and
get
Lamar.
fooled again. You've been fooled once. You can't be fooled again.
Who was I fooled by?
Rashad Bateman.
What did
Can't
Rashad
be fooled
Bateman?
by
That's what I'm
another.
saying.
See, the thing is with Rashad Bateman,
What
JT
is
was
Rashad
playing some
Bateman fooled you
5D
on?
chess because Bateman had like what should have been a face planter rookie season, but he has so many truthers that his value has barely gone
moved.
down. Like it just has barely gone down.
It was not a face planter season. Like he just started the season with a groin injury that made him miss like the first month of the year, which as a rookie is pretty important. So he still
almost like
managed to
Tony
post
went through something similar.
Look, like Tony, I'm not gonna Tony. I'm not even gonna knock for that. Like I'm not gonna knock what
No, I'm just
Tony
kidding.
happened.
I still like Bateman. But I do agree with you on the Bateman truthers to the fact that like Hollywood Brown was like 23 years old, had like 1,300 yards, and was still like wide receiver 30, like in consensus rankings.
Yeah, I think both of them are solid buys right now, and Lamar Jackson. Like I just think the Ravens passing attack is consistently undervalued, except for Mark Andrews, who I feel like might be.
What did you hear the words that just came out of your mouth? The Ravens passing attack is undervalued. They throw the ball like the 31st amount in the league.
Okay, well, where did they finish,
ball.
Jake? Jake, what tight end was Mark Andrews last year?
Great, you picked the one guy that was.
Where was Hollywood Brown? What was Hollywood Brown's target share?
Hollywood Brown was probably a wide receiver 3.
Wide receiver 2, but yeah.
What
No,
receiver 22?
Baltimore was top 10 in pass attempts per game last year.
Yeah, it's because Lamar was out.
Yeah, walk it back, Jake. Walk it back.
That's actually hilarious. All right, you guys want to move into running back rankings?
Yeah. All right. We are now going to, as I said at the top of the episode, we're only a few weeks away from the draft, so we figured we might as well just give our rankings first before we end up doing a mock draft right before the actual NFL draft. But we're going to kick it off with the 2022 rookie running back rankings. Kicking us off at 1, I don't think there's much of a question. Maybe there's some Kenneth Walker truthers, but 1 for all of us right across the board, Breece Hall.
Yeah, the question isn't whether or not Breece Hall is the number 1 running back. Is he actually like RB4 in Dynasty?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Well, I think he's a better prospect than Najee Harris was, and he's, a couple years younger than Najee Harris, and he's ranked, I believe, right next to Najee Harris. I think it's a fine ranking.
Would you have rather had Javonte were you high on Javonte coming out last year into the draft or Breece Hall now?
That's funny because I think I was talking to one of the viewers who is also happens to be our friend Parker about that before, and I think it was a toss up is what I said. I think I still would have liked Breece Hall more. I think I'm a Breece Hall guy over.
I think Breece Hall has like the better profile, but Javonte, you watched him on tape and you were just like, holy crap, this guy's a beast. That's kind of the difference.
And okay, but now we've just compared him to Javonte and Najee.
Yeah, dude, I
right
traded down in a startup recently, passing up on Breece Hall, and it's been my biggest regret in like years of fantasy. I feel like I really wish I just stayed and picked Breece Hall. I'm so dumb.
What running back off the board was he? Was he like the 5th running back?
4, I believe.
He was 4?
It was Jonathan Taylor,
yeah,
Javonte, Najee, RB5. You had Swift was the pick.
Oh, Swift also went ahead. Okay.
Well, okay, that sparks an interesting debate too, because I think the clear what Keep Trade Cut will say is consensus is running back 1's Taylor, 2 appears to be Javonte, 3's Najee. And then this is where it gets interesting, the Breece Hall versus DeAndre Swift debate, because that's actually a trade that happened in our league. DeAndre Swift went for 101 in this year's class, which will presumably be Breece Hall. And it's, well, what do you think about that? To me, I think I'm the biggest DeAndre Swift truther, and I think I might like Breece Hall more.
I think the fact of the matter is that, at least to me, Breece Hall is just a better prospect than DeAndre Swift. But at the same time, and usually I feel like if you're a rebuilder, I would go for you would hear people say go for the upside. I actually like trading Brees Hall for DeAndre Swift if you need to cash in and hold on to value, because if you're in a PPR league, the passing workload of Swift is really fucking nice.
Yeah.
But I think if I were to pick one, like JT said, I'm gonna pick Brees Hall over Swift. It's just you have the obvious risk right now because everything that you want Brees Hall to be is kind of priced in right now.
Yeah.
And like if we're going back to the Javonte debate, that's what was nice about Javonte, at least for us and me, was like you could get Javonte after pick 6 very consistently. I picked
Basically
him up at 111 in leagues. So that's kind of the difference.
Again, that was because we had 5 quarterbacks in the first 15 picks of the NFL draft.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen again.
He was also consensus RB3 though in the class.
Yeah, that's
true. That's true.
And I will also say, like, his dynasty ranking was lower than Brees Hall is right now. Like, I think around coming into the draft, Javonte was probably like RB12.
I mean, I could pull it up right now for you guys. Javonte Williams.
Brees Hall now is already at 4. Like what Frank was saying, his upside's already taken it. Yeah, I agree with you, Frank. I'd probably, if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Brees Hall, but I don't hate it just because, like, we all already know how good DeAndre Swift is, and he's just as young nearly.
So Javonte this time last year was running back 22 when Brees Hall was running back 5.
Wow.
We all were on we as a podcast is one thing.
We were all on Javonte. Yeah.
Dude, Joe Herbert is right. Brees Hall is 3 years younger than Swift. It's just the risk. The fact that we just don't have
where he's going to
the draft capital landing spot, all that shit confirmed. I mean, I agree with the consensus that I think that Brees Hall is going to be going top 40, top 45 picks, which is kind of all you need. It's not the craziest thing in the world if he's not a world beater.
But let's put it this way: like, if he doesn't end up on a good team, like, what's his worst case scenario? Like, he ends up on the Colts, I think would obviously be the worst case scenario. But what are the odds like something like that happens?
Yeah, let's do realistic worst case scenario. I mean, I think if he goes to the Jets, his consensus value would go down. But I actually like that landing spot.
I like that landing spot. I don't
not bad.
Maybe the Falcons would be annoying. I don't think that'll happen. But if he's splitting workload with Cordarrelle Patterson, and he's like kind of in a Mike Davis role, because the thing is, for Brees Hall, the only thing you don't want to have happen is him not being a bell cow.
Well, that Falcons offense could perfectly mimic the 49ers offense, where you have Pitts filling the Kittle role, you have Patterson filling the Debo role, and Brees Hall is your Elijah Mitchell. And I think that's
true.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting comparison you just made right there.
Thanks. I'm kind of a genius. I don't think there's that many bad landing spots for Brees Hall. Kenneth Walker,
dude, at the end of the day, wherever the fuck he lands up, like, are you gonna play the other guy or are you gonna play Brees damn Hall? Like,
if you're spending a day 1 or day 2 pick on him, like, you're playing him. He's
I guess
the Marlon Mack theory. Like, are we gonna play Marlon Mack or are we gonna play the Jonathan Taylor? You know,
the Colts put that to the test the first first half of the year.
They put that to the test the first 3 games of this season too. They were like, hey, let's only give Jonathan Taylor like 13 carries instead of like the 40 he should be getting a game.
Yeah, and they started like 0-3.
Patterson is going back to wide receiver, apparently. I mean, he did play a decent amount of snaps at wide receiver, especially towards the end of last year.
They don't have any receivers. It's him and Auden Tate.
Yeah, he's going to have to play receiver.
I was going to say,
he's just going to be...
I would be shocked if the Falcons don't take a wide receiver at 8. To be completely honest, but yeah,
I mean, maybe they don't, but
I could see him trading down potentially, and then picking up like a Jameson Williams, or, I mean, I would hate for this if I'm a Falcons fan, but like an Olave potentially if they fall, Burks if he falls.
Burks would be interesting.
Very interesting.
I mean, that's if
Burks
in a
and
perfect
Burks.
world, right? Because if you're the Falcons, you would want to trade back to like the mid to late teens, and then that's ideally where Burks would fall, like one of the receivers, whether it's Burks or Jameson Williams or whoever the fuck, those top 4 or 5.
I was trying to figure out how we even got here. And
A
it's
lot of Breece Hall talk.
Yeah.
All
Breece
right,
Hall
so
running
yeah,
back one in this
none of
rankings.
us are Kenneth Walker over Breece Hall guys.
No.
All right, so let's go into Kenneth Walker. He's consensus number 2 for us. Okay, so the question isn't is he number 2? Okay, let's kind of play a game. Is Kenneth Walker for you guys closer to number 1 in Breece Hall, or is he closer to number 3, either Brian Robinson or Isaiah Spiller?
2.
He's closer to what?
Well, obviously
Yeah,
he's
you
closer
said
to 2. He's
2.
at 2.
You just
I
threw
might
me
have
off.
to.
Yeah.
I might have to resign from the pod. Yeah, he's closer to 1. He's 2. He's closer.
Yes,
to 1.
he's
Okay,
close.
okay.
I agree with JT. He's closer to 1 at this point.
Well, we'll touch on why I bumped down a specific person from 3 to lower, but in the yards created metric, which tracks like broken tackles and everything, and it's pretty good at predicting like who's a good running back in the NFL. Kenneth Walker is, I believe, the top of this class in yards created. It is a little scary that he still only has that one actual real good year of production under his belt. He has that receiving ability knock against him, like questions of whether or not he can actually be a good receiving back. But at the end of the day, I just think this running back class is so damn weak that like I'd rather he's a good enough prospect for me to say he's closer to 1 than 3.
I
But
guess
he's really close
my,
to 2.
So
That's what
my hypothetical I'm going to throw at you boys is Kenneth Walker is taken before Breece Hall in the NFL draft. Does that change any of your opinions?
No.
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 CH was taken before Jonathan Taylor. Happens
Just
all the time.
throwing it out there.
I think if it was like, I mean, this would be crazy, but if for me to consider, it would have to be like Kenneth Walker taken absurdly high or Breece Hall going and falling absurdly low. Like,
It would have to be that, and then like Kenneth Walker going like, I don't know, like Buffalo or something.
because
Or
yeah,
to like really make up the
JT's
ground.
JT's point with the CEH, Jonathan Taylor, and even DeAndre Swift thing, I mean, they were all within 10 picks. So
Yeah.
I would
that's
imagine
pretty close.
I would imagine, regardless of who gets taken first, I think Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker are just going to be super close picks to each other. Because once that first running back goes off the board, it's Kenneth Walker and then a lot more question marks after that. So if you're looking for a running back in this draft,
I'm the guy. I think that Kenneth Walker is closer to number 3 than he is to number 2. I
Really?
feel like he should be closer to number 1, but I took a look at my running back rankings, and he's only 1 tier above Brian Robinson for me.
Oh, that's just because you're very high on Brian Robinson. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
see
that's part of it, but I mean, like literally speaking, he in terms of the tiers, he's closer. So I now we can go to our 3 spot, I guess, because this is where we actually start to deviate with each other. We
Well-
have Isaiah Spiller versus Brian Robinson. I'm finally not the only Brian Robinson RB3 guy.
it pains me because I was very steadfast in the Isaiah Spiller running back 3, but it's just that same yards created. I forget who does it. I wish I could give him
Is
credit.
it Football
Maybe I could go-
Outsiders that does it?
Maybe is it Athletic? I forget. I could try and look it up while we're talking about this. But Isaiah Spiller is like the second or third worst in this class, ahead of the likes of I think Zamir White and I forget, maybe it's Kyron Williams. But like he's one of the worst in the class and actually one of the worst all time as far as this database tracks, which I think is the 2010 in yards created. And I mean, I did have my concerns about Spiller, like his relative athletic score and like his lack of 40 time and everything. But like his on the field play showed me that he does have that top end speed that like I had him at running back too at one point. But there's so many red flags to the point of now I'm even reading that like he might not even be a day 2 pick in the NFL draft. That I think Brian Robinson honestly I just like Brian Robinson more at this point. I never was an anti-Brian Robinson guy either. I was actually a super high guy on Brian Robinson. So, I mean, maybe we could look at this more of I'm just very pro Brian Robinson than anti Isaiah Spiller. But at the price that they're at, definitely give me Brian Robinson.
draft capital is going to be everything for Spiller. It's going to be. I think. Jake, you disagree?
I mean, honestly, I think as long as he's picked on day 2, which I'm pretty confident he will be, I don't think it matters.
I would definitely be a lot higher on him if he went in round 2 rather than round 3. Or especially
Again.
when I say draft capital, if someone like Robinson gets drafted ahead of Spiller, it tanks his value. I mean like that in both ways. Or it's like if he doesn't go to like maybe the very end of round 3 or possibly round 4, or any of these other backs go ahead of him outside of the top 2, it kind of kills him. I still have Spiller ahead of Brian Robinson, even though I like him. I don't know. Like I'm trusting just kind of the tape that I did watch and my general evaluation on when I watched both those backs. I like both of them coming out, and they're you guys are going to see Robinson's my 4. I just seen Spiller make plays in the SEC for years and be consistently good. I can't bump him that low. It's hard for me to go.
I found where I could give the credit to Graham Barfield of at Fantasy Points tweeted out. And I found that some analysts are saying this kind of puts Isaiah Spiller more into the comps in the likes of like a Zach Moss or Ron Jones than it does some better prospects of the past. So
that's weird comps because I feel he's definitely to me like more of a Ronald Jones than a Zach Moss. Because like, okay, I can understand, you know, the Isaiah Spiller, the testing stuff is a concern, but I think when you watch him play, athleticism is really not a concern. Okay, yeah, he doesn't have great long speed. He's not gonna outrun safeties to the end zone, but like, I don't really give a shit. His lateral quickness is the big money maker in his profile. I mean, his footwork and lateral quickness is really, really good. To me, the question mark is you need development out of Isaiah Spiller. Between the tackles, he is not good enough to be a true NFL running back. And to me, like, where he at least was being drafted earlier in the offseason, where he was kind of like 103, 104, 105, way too high. I think now the consensus is starting to beat him down to where he's starting to fall late first. Let's say he goes in the 3rd round. That's where I have him pegged to go. Around like a Trey Sermon pick 80, pick 85, especially in a weak running back class. Could easily happen, right?
Yeah.
Where is he then for you guys, he'd still be at RB3, JT or Jake and Lounis. JT, are you still on the Brian Robinson train at that point?
Wait, we're saying Brian Robinson is picked around that range?
No. Isaiah Spiller is picked around like pick 77, pick 80. Pretty good landing spot. Nothing crazy, but like better than worse.
But then where's Brian Robinson going in this scenario? Because I think that's important.
You want to say like
true, yeah, that is important. Fuck. Didn't think about that angle.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I could vamp while you think a little bit of it. I just think, I mean, fool me once kind of thing. Like, if I'm picking these guys at the late first, it just doesn't feel good again. Like late first in rookie drafts, because it is the Trey Sermons and Michael Carters of the world are what we're picking at that kind of range. The Keyshawn Vaughns, like, doesn't feel great picking those kind of players at that round. I'd rather just pass, pick a receiver, and then pick the dart throw running backs later on. Although, as we get into it, doesn't feel like there's a lot of dart throw receivers this year.
They're not.
I mean, running backs.
They're not functional darts.
So
they're magnetic darts, but it's not a magnetic board.
I mean, I guess real quick, I love Brian Robinson. I think at least he was undervalued. I'm starting to see a lot of Brian Robinson hype from people in the community. It seems like his ADP is just going to go up and up and up, and especially if he gets day 2 draft capital, that'll probably just continue. I'm in a startup draft right now in the 11th round, and I'm really hoping that Brian Robinson falls to my next pick at the end of the 11th or early 12th, but I've been all in on Brian Robinson. I really like him. Anything else you guys want to say on him?
On Brian Robinson now we're talking about?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the darling of the draft. I think he's going to get really good draft capital, and he's going to be the one that shoots up boards. But I'm not going to like that because I would have preferred him to be, you know.
I mean, he had 3rd round ADP before. I don't think he's going to hold that.
Oh,
third round
rookie.
No,
Yeah,
he's
in rookie
going in the
drafts, like-
second. He's
Yeah,
probably
he'll
going
be
to
in
go
the-
late
yeah.
second.
Yeah,
I think he's going to go probably
higher.
earlier than that,
Yeah.
probably mid to early second.
Yeah, I like him more as like a mid second, but I don't know. With this draft class, it'll be weird.
All right, let's go into RB4. So Zamir White is the only new name. That's Joe Herbert's guy in the chat. Joe Herbert has Zamir White RB3. Mr. Jake, what do you got on Zamir White? Have him at RB4.
I just like the way he plays the game. I think, seeing him run between the tackles is just something that's going to translate to the next level. I understand the passing game is a little bit of a concern. That's why it knocks him down a lot of people's boards. James Cook really filled that role at Georgia for that team. And I don't think Zamir White is necessarily a bad pass catcher, but he really hasn't shown anything. I just think he will have, I think he's going to probably get like round 4 draft capital, round 4, round 5 draft capital. He's going to fill a void in a backfield and really be a running back by committee. And I think he'll have a chance to really take a step forward if he runs the way we've seen him do. It's just a matter of who is that other back that he's competing with for touches. If it's a lower end back and he's not behind the likes of Joe Mixon or David Montgomery or whoever we're talking about, one of those middle RB1s, like I think he can do really, if he goes to the Jets and he's in a backfield with, what's his name?
Michael Carter.
Thank you. Michael Carter. I really think he'll have a good chance to carve out a very solid role. And
you wonder where I could see him going? Tennessee as the Foreman replacement. I know that's not the sexiest thing in the world. That I don't think that the Zamir White truthers would love that, but
no, we won't.
I think that would be a really interesting.
Derrick Henry's been getting hurt,
right? But I'm not going to draft a guy because I'm banking on Derrick Henry to get hurt.
But the thing is, if he does get hurt, then he
becomes like an RB1 play.
Yeah, he's all of a sudden kind of like a plug and play RB1. Like low end RB1, maybe high end RB2, but nonetheless, like if Derrick Henry's not in the equation, it stonks for Zamir. I guess the reason that I say that is because to me, if I'm Tennessee, I'm drafting a running back, like 100%.
Absolutely.
You saw what they were able to do with Foreman in the playoffs. You need to be able to have that if Derrick Henry goes down. Tennessee, historically speaking, has drafted super athletic players, especially at like receiver and things of that nature. I don't know why they wouldn't want to do that with a guy like Zamir White, especially if they're trying to replicate like a pounder running back. And also, I think they've been running a lot more gap scheme plays as the years go by, so that also kind of fits more into Zamir White's game. I don't know. I think that like while the community would sour on that, all of a sudden I would start being way more into Zamir White because I think at that point he would go in the 3rd. And for a 3rd round pick, dude, like that could pay dividends at some point.
I don't know. 3rd is pretty low. I still think he would probably find his way into the back end of the 2nd.
Even if he's behind Henry?
Yeah, we saw Darrington Evans get picked in the 2nd round.
True.
just he's a better prospect than Darrington Evans, and that's just what it is. So I think Zamir White's a guy that people are going to kind of grow on as we get closer to the draft. And I just think, as always, all running backs come rookie drafts start to slide up the board a little bit because no one has running backs and they always want to find one. And they're going to be taking over guys that they really shouldn't be. So I still think he's going to climb up the board a little bit.
I think I have Zamir White. Yeah, I have him as running back 5, and even I don't love that at this point.
Well, that's another thing is this running back class isn't very deep. We all love Hall and Walker at the top, but after that, we're pretty split, and I think that's just kind of consensus is that this running back class isn't very good. So, like, I think Zamir White is just like the best of the rest, if we're going to put it that way.
Well, in terms of like polished in between the tackle runners that you can kind of plug and play early, I think there's only like 5 or 6 of them. So that also could mean that these guys come the end of day 2, early day 3, you may have some teams that want to get some running back depth, start fighting over these guys.
I don't feel good about drafting any of these players before. Like, so Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker are solidified first round picks. I think that's fine. Kenneth Walker, I don't even feel great drafting like before 104, but I think that's probably where he's going to go.
That's fine. That's where he's going to go.
Yeah. Brian Robinson and Isaiah Spiller, I don't want to draft him in the first round at this point. I think Isaiah Spiller is still a solidified first rounder unless he just tanks his NFL draft round. Like if he's a day 3 pick, but if he's a day 2 pick, like as in the second, third rounds, I think Isaiah Spiller is a solidified first round pick, which I no longer love him at that price. Zamir White and Brian Robinson feel like, at least Brian Robinson feels like an early second if he's getting drafted early in the NFL. I don't necessarily love that. Zamir White in mid second to late second, don't love that. Like it's just, I think you're just overpaying for running backs in this class, and I think you could instead just trade those picks for production now into the likes of James Conner, Rashad Penny, maybe pay up a little more and just grab Zeke, because these are, I don't even like Zeke a whole lot, but at least I'm getting production out of these guys. If you're drafting these guys where they're currently ranked, I think you're just like crumpling up your draft pick and throwing it out the window.
Would you trade the pick of Kenneth Walker for ETN?
No.
ETN's a weird one for me. Like that injury, how I felt about him as a prospect, like he's just,
that's tough.
He's weird egg for me.
Nope.
Because I actually think the ETN and Walker are similar prospects, but I think the ETN I had is a little bit better of a prospect than Walker.
I think ETN has the higher ceiling.
Definitely.
That's what makes it tough. Because if he can come back healthy, to know like the injury, we have to wait and see. But he is also just like 21 years old. Now maybe 22. He was so explosive when he played.
And the receiving ability as well.
No, that's part of it. That's part of the upside. Like he can be kind of like almost like a DeAndre Swift type.
And I guess lastly, we've seen it with the receiver position, the chemistry of like when teams have drafted teammates, it's worked for every single player outside of James Washington and Mason Rudolph, and that's mainly because Mason Rudolph, James Washington aren't Rudolph. Great. Like, yeah. All right, let's go on to 5. 5, I have a very interesting running back. Me and Lounis, Dameon Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is another dude that it feels like the community is very low on right now. But if he goes where I think he's going to go, I think there's a good chance, not necessarily a good chance, but a decent chance that he can sneak into the end of day 2. All of a sudden, if the landing spot's even semi-attractive, he's another running back that we might see sneak into the late second. Now, unlike Brian Robinson, I'm going to be on the JT train where I'm not really sure I love that price.
If he's going where in rookie drafts?
The late second. If he goes
second,
let's say he goes late third round, he's in that classic group of running backs that get drafted somewhere around like pick 95 to 120. Where you have like a 20 to 25% hit rate. But if they hit, it's usually pretty darn good. I mean, Lounis, you're the other guy that's on Dameon Pierce. Would you be taking him around there, or are you going to be passing him up? And what about you, Joker? Are you taking him there late second? Let me look at
my board. Honestly, I don't hate him in the late second. No, I don't mind that pick. I would take him in the late. If he goes day 2, I wouldn't hate that pick at all. Take him in the late second. I just think if he goes in the 3rd round, where NFL teams like him enough to take him day 2, I think he can get on the field like relatively fast. You can make a case he's probably, if not the best, like a top 3 pass blocking rookie back coming out of this class.
We saw how that ended for Kenneth Gainwell.
Well, Kenneth Gainwell is just
I don't care if you're a pass blocker. First off, 95% of college running backs suck at pass blocking. So I don't get points for pass blocking.
Well, Kenneth Gainwell was just because he was stuck behind Miles Sanders. But as for Dameon Pierce,
Sirianni just wouldn't put him on the field.
He had the chance early in the year. Early in the year, he was back. I don't know, but that's a whole separate issue. I just think with Dameon Pierce, if he goes to go day 3, I saw like here's a hypothetical landing spot. How would you guys say? Tampa Bay brought him in for workouts. Are you higher or lower on him on the Tampa Bay with Fournette being on just like that 1-year deal?
No, I'm still out on Dameon Pierce.
Neutral.
I only mentioned that because it was just a recent workout that happened. I saw his recent news with him.
To go off of what Skull Dynasty said in the chat, I'd rather a receiver at every single one of these picks at this point.
Same.
I'd rather take a wide receiver at all of these picks.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a drop off with the receivers in like the mid-second. That's why I'm saying late second. I feel better about. Like if you look back at our mock, around the mid-second is when there's a big drop off.
You taking
like,
Dameon Pierce or you taking Justin Ross?
Even Justin Ross went 207 in ours. It's more so like, are you taking Pierce or like a John Mechie?
I'm taking like Wan'Dale Robinson over all these guys.
Yeah.
Or like a Wan'Dale Robinson. Like those are the guys he's competing against around like that, like 210, 211, 212 range. That's why I say I'm okay, because I do think there's a wide receiver drop off midway through the second.
I think the issue with players like Dameon Pierce and now beyond is it's going to just take luck for these guys to get any kind of actual role. Like they're going to need injuries ahead of them. Because even if, say it is like he gets drafted to the Bucks and Leonard Fournette's above him with the 1-year contract, I think you're just running into the same issue that you would in the likes of like AJ Dillon, Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, except I think he's just a worse prospect than any of those 3 guys. So it's like,
I think compared to Madison coming out, you can make the case that Pierce.
Right, maybe Matt.
I think Dillon
Madison
was a better prospect coming out, but because I was gonna say those guys you could easily get a late second for. I was gonna make a point, I just forgot off the top of my head. But I just think there's such a tier break in the middle of the second with like, I remember the point I was gonna make. He would, if he goes where Ron Frank goes, he's kind of in a similar position as Michael Carter last season. Michael Carter went like early second.
But that's also a similar position of Trey Sermon.
Well, I think the other thing about Pierce that's being a little bit understated is that if he becomes a good player and you pick him up at the end of the second, that's probably a smash pick.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think if he becomes fantasy relevant, there's a good chance that he becomes really relevant, right? And is putting up some good points for your fantasy. Like, okay, yeah, maybe he becomes a Chuba Hubbard, but
I just think it's way more likely than not the receiver I'm drafting at that range becomes fantasy relevant rather than.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's probably almost twice as likely. But running backs, man, they be crazy. All right, let's go on to running back 6 we're at. So the only new name here is James Cook. JT, that is you, which honestly surprises me a little bit because you're usually Tinder guy JT. Got to check all the boxes.
Well, I got news for you, Frank. None of these guys check boxes. So at this point, I don't know. Let's just go narratives. Did you know he's the brother of Dalvin Cook? Like,
he ran a faster 40 than Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, this is where we start getting to the point where you just start shaking the magic 8 ball. It's like, all right, how about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like I'm looking after like literally after Brian Robinson and maybe Zamir. Like, I think it's actually just after Brian Robinson, Isaiah Spiller. I don't even think Zamir White has earned his role into that group. I just don't like these running backs. I don't like these running backs. I don't want them. I don't want these running backs. If you give them to me for free, sure, I'll take them. They could just sit on my taxi. But like at the prices that these guys all are, I don't like these running backs. So James Cook is just there because I don't even know, to be honest with you. I think we talked about him at Georgia. He seems like he can be a guy that can like work in like a third down.
I was gonna say like a change of pace back.
Yeah, where it's like
James Cook is the new James White.
That's literally what I was gonna say. Like maybe he ends up because like none of these guys that are after him seem to be 3-down running back workhorses. They're not these players. This running back class is not good. I don't like it. You got Breece Hall. Kenneth Walker, kind of, and that's it. Like, this is not a good running back class.
Yeah, I've given my thoughts on James Cook. It's just a very risky pick. But I like you said, if he goes to an interesting landing spot, is able to catch a couple of passes a game, get a handful of carries, why can't he be somewhat relevant? I just think that you really lack the upside with James Cook.
I think someone like James Cook is going to end up having value in terms of being like a decent running back's handcuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
I looked back, and a lot of these receiving back type of players, it's just hard to predict. Someone like Gainwell, who I really liked last year, even someone who I liked Gainwell a lot more than James Cook. I think he was a way better prospect than James Cook. Why am I all of a sudden taking James Cook at a similar ADP to that? That's my problem. Maybe if he gets a really attractive landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, this is kind of just like a put gun to my head situation. Like, who am I picking here? Like, I don't want them.
So I think here I can still make genuine picks. 7 through 10, it gets bad. Or 8 through 10. 8 through 10.
Joe Herbert, I want an Oompa Loompa.
We don't have many of those in this class.
I mean, all right, that's coming up. Sincere McCormick, is he not an Oompa Loompa?
He's thick. All right, am I talking about Sincere McCormick? Or is he the next?
The only guy who has
Sincere McCormick's interesting. Like, once again, if you're one of those dudes that's like production out of years out of high school, and then compare it to other group of 5 backs, Sincere McCormick was an extremely productive running back for multiple years, and he had like an early breakout, I'm pretty sure. But dude, his testing was pretty atrocious.
Yeah, his
what do you run? Didn't he run like a 4.6?
Wasn't great.
Yeah,
it was not great.
4.6.
I mean, JT, you're the guy who's got him on here. You're the only dude.
Again, this is more of a gun to my head, but I've just been a Sincere McCormick guy. I don't know. I think he's kind of a small, little, thick. I guess you could call him an Oompa Loompa. He's small, thick running back who I think could handle.
Sincere fade.
Yeah. Look, again, running back class not great. Like, you're not going to see me really dying on any of these guys' hills.
Like, I think the thing with him, what weren't people expecting him to test like extremely well in the 40 and thought he'd be kind of a speed back and like.
But again, there's so much of this to me is like there's like game day speed and then there's testing speed. I think Sincere McCormick's one of those guys who has that kind of game day speed about him. But again, it's kind of just like I'll go with kind of who I think could be a sneaky underlying dart throw than these players that I've just seen play at a higher level and just not do nearly as much. Like,
I haven't watched his tape yet, so maybe he's good and I'm unjustifiably crapping on him.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
As of right now, I am not drafting him.
I mean, I'm probably not either, if we're being honest.
Tyler Beatty's interesting. You talk about another very productive running back. I am halfway through watching Tyler Beatty. He's very interesting. I mean, hard runner. He has receiving output. I don't think he's a great receiver, though. He's almost like the anti-Kenneth Walker, where Kenneth Walker just wasn't throwing the ball, but when he was, he didn't look like a bad receiver. Where it's like Tyler Beatty just happened to be throwing the ball a shit ton, but I don't think he's a good receiver. Runs hard. He's a little undersized. I mean, for this running back class, I think that Beatty is pretty interesting. I'd like to see where he goes in the NFL draft. I think that there's definitely some concerns there. I still think he's a day 3 guy, but I kind of have him as like the top of the day 3 dudes as of right now from what I've seen.
Yeah, I have an idea, guys. Again, I'm just gonna say the same thing over and over, so maybe I'll just shut up. But I think we could play a quick game if you guys want to.
Okay. Shoot.
You guys give me what pick I'm picking at, and I'll tell you who I think should go around that pick.
212.
All right, for 212, I think I would trade that pick for Curtis Samuel. Okay, how about another one?
Curtis Samuel?
304.
304. I'm looking at the board. There's James Cook, Sincere McCormick's up there. I'm gonna trade that pick for like a Kendrick Bourne.
Oh, the Bourne legacy. Jake is shook.
I'm just looking at keep trade cut and seeing what players are ranked around these. Like, I don't want any of these running backs.
It was a Bourne.
Bourne.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a 304. I'm not actually. I actually wouldn't trade it for. I wouldn't trade 304 for Kendrick Bourne. But
that doesn't seem like a good ultimatum, though. JT was pretty dead set on taking the Bourne. All right. I guess next up at 8, we got a couple Rashad Whites here. I have Pierre Strong. We're gonna get into Pierre Strong later, so I don't really want to talk about him. I mean, Rashad, we seem to be pretty low as a podcast on Rashad White. Is the community also becoming really low on Rashad White?
Yeah, look at Joe Herbert in the chat.
You're boring,
Beatty is the running back Rashad White wishes he was.
I don't agree. I guess I agree with that. I mean, maybe I'm boring, but I like these running backs just aren't good prospects. What do you want? Like, they're not. I can't make these guys interesting. I can't.
JT sticks by his takes. I disagree with most of them, but he sticks by his takes. And he's been low on this running back class for weeks.
Like Lounis, like yeah, say you're picking like are you actually like excited to pick Dameon Pierce? Like,
no. I'm trying to trade 208.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
damn, this is low on a Florida player. What the hell?
That's how you know it's bad.
I can't.
Well, no, I just think the end of the second round this year isn't like just in general. I'm like, like kind of what JT was saying with like 212, 304. I'd rather trade those picks.
Yeah, but I think the third round is pretty good this year. At least it's as good as the fucking end of the second. To be honest,
yeah.
I got all the third rounders. You want them?
School Dynasty wants me to pull a rabbit out of a hat here. I just can't. I can't do it.
All right, next couple guys. I mean, we're gonna say the same thing over and over again. We got a Pierre Strong, Tyler Algier, Kyron Williams. I mean, Jake, would you like to give your final Kyron Williams take here?
Lounis is actually higher on Kyron Williams.
All right. I mean, at this point, 9 and 10 can flip flop. It doesn't really matter to me. But my final sorrows, I guess, of Kyron Williams. I still think, despite testing as poorly as he did, I think he could potentially have a role as a third down back. I still think he's a good a good receiving back. We've seen that kind of not translate very well to the NFL, and it's very hit and miss. But at running back, 8, 9, 10 of this class, I mean, it's all dart throws. I'm going to take a guy that I think at least has some upside in the receiving game. I like the way he ran. I thought he was a very patient runner. I know Frank thought it was just him not seeing the holes, which is possible as well. But I like what I saw. I think it, obviously the testing knocked him down. His draft capital will be a big tell how NFL teams feel about him. I think that could rebound his value a little bit. But as of now, running back 10 for me, Lounis has him at 9. I think that's pretty fair. It's going to end up being a mid-third value, I think, in rookie drafts, which at that point, I'll take the dart throw here on Kyron Williams.
All right, I guess last point before we move on. I've got Keontae. What's up, Lounis?
Just a quick comment I want to make. Well, I was a little bit surprised about. I thought after the testing, he was going to go, Kyron Williams is going to go like in the 6th or 7th for sure. I've seen some people saying he could go in the 4th, which is why I snuck him back onto the end of my list.
I have like a 5th round grade on him still.
Okay, so you don't think it'd be crazy if he went like towards the end of the 4th? Yeah, like if he does go around there, I feel fine having him at RB9. I don't look forward to drafting him, but like it's kind of a shit show 8 through 10. So
what would be interesting, and where Kyron Williams, at least for me, would save a lot of his value and I guess recoup a lot of it. I'm not sure how the community would feel on him because it feels like everyone already hates him. If he goes in that like 120-ish range of picks, where he's like one of those dudes that has that 20-25% chance to hit, then he could be interesting. I don't think it's going to happen. That's the only issue.
Damn,
all right.
Kyron's your RB17. No golden domers. Okay.
I don't think it's that crazy. It's just
All right, last guy I have Keontae Ingram. He's a dude that's interesting. I haven't watched his film, but I remember watching him a while ago. Texas, I believe he was playing. Then he transferred to USC. Caught a few USC games. Clown Fiesta of a fucking team. But he looked interesting. So I have him as my RB10 for now. Dude that I liked when I just watched him live. So I'm gonna have to watch a tape and report back. But that's it. That's the running back rankings as of right now. Now let's get most of this dog water off of the screen.
This dog
Dude,
water.
I remember coming into this off season, I was like, dude, there's so many running backs that I think could be like sneaky little buys. And I watched a couple. I'm like, all right,
because then you're like, wait, there's only 3, and they're like Brian Robinson, Pearson, Zamir White.
yeah, it's like I was like, oh, Tyler Algier. I've been hearing a lot of good things. The model says he's RB1 overall. Like, can't wait to dive in. I remember watching that BYU game where he has the tomahawk over the top against ASU to force the fumble. It's like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, maybe he should be playing defense. Byron Williams, and I'm like, yeah, just on and on and on and on. Just yikes.
That's the thing. Like, I see the typical conversation on Twitter, and it's always like, yeah, there's a lot of dart throw running backs that you could take in this draft. And that's like, if dart throw means just guys you could stash on the back end of your roster for a year and then cut in disappointment, yeah, there's a lot of those dart throws. But
yeah, but I think a dart throw is like a Ramondre Stevenson type of guy.
yeah, but we don't have those this year. We don't have Brian Robinson. It's Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson isn't going to go nearly as low
I think Brian Robinson's better.
Yeah, probably. I tend to agree, but it's just
Damian Pierce is like that type of dude as of right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Ingram is great size in a 3-down back. Yeah, when I saw him live, I thought he was really interesting. He's one of the few running backs left that I'm like,
maybe.
Please, crossing fingers, don't make me hate watching your games. All right, so we have a game. We have an interesting game that I came up with right before the pod, and I call it Player versus First. I wonder what this is going to be. All right, let's
take a lot of explaining.
It's a creative title.
All right, yeah, but I guess to be a little bit more specific, I'm doing a startup draft right now. I'm going to join more, but there's an interesting conundrum that I've seen where it's like, would you rather have this pick or like a 2024 first round pick? Because the jury is out in the 2023 class. People would be much more willing to trade their 2024 first instead of their 2023 first. That's fine. But would you rather have the pick? Would you rather have the player? So I'm going to go through a list of players. The first round pick we're assuming is kind of random, but not completely random, because like in the startup, if you're trading that pick for the first, I mean, you're giving them a halfway decent player. So it's still a random pick, but you're kind of treating it as like a more back-endish random pick. Does that make any sense? Am I making any sense?
Yeah. Pretty much, it's not like a team that's like completely rebuilding first.
Yeah, you're thinking it's like, okay, it's random between like pick 5 to 12, not like, oh, it's going to be
not like he has a chance of being top 3.
Yeah, exactly. You're not thinking it's going to be top 3 in the valuation. Okay. Let's start off. Guy we talked about earlier, Rashad Bateman, first or player? Player or pick?
I feel like I'm going to be in an island.
Let's get serious.
Why is this a question?
I hate all of you. It's Bateman. Easy Bateman.
Is this supposed to be the Bateman with the second for the first? I think you mixed up the list. You're supposed to be in the next one.
All right, so I'm also taking the pick. So we got 3 picks, 1 Bateman.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have a feeling this is going to be a recurring theme with these players. But
all right, Hollywood, player or pick?
Pick.
Hollywood.
I'll take Hollywood.
I'm also going to take Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Jake's the ring.
Bateman and Hollywood are like on an equal.
I like Hollywood a little bit more.
Yeah, I like
he
Hollywood
just
a
did
good
it.
amount
Like he
more.
just had. I don't.
All
forget how
right,
many
you
yards.
like him a little bit more. Like
I like
I'm
him a
again
good
laughed
amount
at for
more.
Bateman.
It might be. I was trying to be nice to Bateman.
All right, interesting. So we're definitely, at least me and Lunas are a good bit higher on Hollywood than Bateman. High five,
Yeah.
Lunas.
Yeah.
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
Montgomery.
First.
This one, I think it depends on what
so
day
JT,
you catch.
So JT, some transit. So you'd rather have Bateman over Montgomery in Dynasty?
And Hollywood over Montgomery.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Hollywood and
gotta get-
Montgomery are close.
Oh, Montgomery.
I'm going to go with David Montgomery.
I'm
Yeah.
taking Montgomery.
A lot of 3-1s.
All right. So
Me and
my
Frank are in
issue,
unison.
my issue is Montgomery, and I'm gonna lob. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but because it'll just garner more hate than help. But like
It's okay.
David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs, it's just like they've shown like they are who they are at this point.
No. If
Prove me
David
wrong.
Montgomery is closer to Joe Mixon than he is Josh Jacobs, prove me wrong.
I actually don't hate that take.
I mean,
I think the thing with Montgomery, I mean, it's actually similar to Mixon.
Montgomery has been battling
He has
injuries
to stay
similar
healthy,
to what
yeah.
similar to what Mixon has done in his did in his first 2 years. When he plays, he's very productive. The Bears are a team that's getting better, and now if he's healthy, I think he will produce similar to what Mixon did this year.
I just like what I saw out of Montgomery watching the Bears games. I saw a way improved running back from the Montgomery that entered the league.
What's gonna start to be interesting though with Montgomery. This is the last year on his rookie deal. This is a prove year for him, trying to get that extension.
With a new regime as well.
With a new coach.
I don't like running backs going into their second contract anyway. So
all right, another running back, Elijah Mitchell, player
First.
or pick?
Pick.
Taking the pick.
You on an island here, Frank?
The Mitchell guy.
I want to be on an island. I really do.
It's
I don't
close.
know.
It's close.
It's another dude that's like I just can't.
Not for me.
I can't pin it down.
The thing is, you 49ers could throw anyone in there and get.
My brain is
similar
telling
production.
me pick, but my heart wants me to take the bait so bad. It wants me to take the bait. I'm gonna go. Fuck it, Elijah Mitchell. I'm going Elijah Mitchell.
Oh,
Give me
you
the
did
island.
it.
Let's go. Let's go, Shanny.
All right, at least someone else is on an island now.
He's gonna break the curse.
He's gonna
I
pick
don't think so. I don't think
the
so.
6th round pick is gonna break the
Of
curse.
49ers running backs just becoming
I was gonna
irrelevant
say,
after being good.
No, the thing was like if Elijah missed the week and they threw in Jeff Wilson, you're gonna get pretty similar production.
Wow.
Am I
know,
wrong?
That's the sad
Am
thing.
I
is
right, Jake? Am I
don't
wrong?
know
You've
if
had
I
Jeff
don't
Wilson when he
disagree.
started.
Don't convince me. Don't convince me.
yeah, leave Frank on his island. Anyone else, Frank?
I see. I'm gonna switch it to pick. I'm gonna switch it to pick.
Oh.
You convinced me. I'm
You're
out.
making the right choice, but
I want to be Elijah Mitchell. I liked him in the draft. That's the thing is that like when there's someone that I like coming out and they play well, I have the emotional connection. You know, I just become too attached. Mac Jones, player or pick?
that's a tough one, actually.
Mac Jones.
A lot of conviction
you're-
from Jake over here.
You're held strong in that belief.
I don't
Snap, dude.
know. I don't
Snap
know.
Stay
decisions.
tuned next week about Mac Jones. I have something to share.
Isn't
on next
24
week.
supposed to be a solid QB class too?
Dude, it's
it's probably too
2024. It's with quarterbacks. It's like maybe.
Yeah, we thought Sam Howell was going to be sick, like when he was.
That's
We also
it.
thought Spencer Rattler was going to be the first pick in this draft. So
I'm gonna go with Mac Jones.
It's
I
pretty
just
much
think-
it's like the safety or upside because the upside is with the pick, but like Mac Jones is such like a safe, like he's going to be QB2.
My thing is like, I'd rather just have like a Ryan Tannehill like than Mac Jones because I just think I'm getting more points. So
Fuck it, I'm
my
taking the
question
pick.
is,
I'm
like,
taking
is
the pick.
Ryan Tannehill worth more than a first? I don't know.
So you're going to take 1 first-round pick for Mac Jones 2 years from now.
I don't feel good about my decision.
It's just consistent quarterback two. It's just consistent quarterback two production. Like you could replace that every year. Like you
See,
can
the
go
thing
and
is,
buy
I
Matt
think that
Ryan right now if
his
you're going
upside
by
is
him.
being underrated. First off, and second off, I just like the level of player that I'm buying. I like you're saying consistent. Like I like him being my QB2, like high end quarterback too. At least I think for potentially years to come in a good organization. I like that a lot.
I agree.
Okay, no, I'm going.
So
I'm going
2-2, we're split.
I'm going Mac Jones.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick.
Oh wait, you went Mac Jones?
I
Linus?
flipped.
No, I'm
I flipped.
not.
All right.
I originally went with the pick. I flipped.
Brandon Ayuk, player or pick?
I'll take the pick. And I like Ayuk. I don't think it's an easy decision, but I'll take
That one's actually that one's really tough for me. I think I'm gonna say Ayuk.
The thing is that I feel like if I would never offer out right now a 2024 first for Ayuk, but I'm gonna say Ayuk. Like I think if I had to pick between the
I'm
two,
in the same boat.
if it's if I think it's a later end 2024 first, and I'm drafting a good team, I'm gonna take Ayuk. We got our first 2-2 split there. All right, we got the other one, Dave Montgomery. How about Josh Jacobs?
Well,
Pick.
you heard what
I'll take
you
the
heard
pick.
how I felt. Wow. Okay, so you feel that differently about Jacobs and Montgomery that you would much rather. Okay. I mean, I'm still the pick, but
I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna
like
go with the pick as
Montgomery.
well.
like
Josh
Montgomery.
Jacobs' inconsistency when I watch him is frustrating. I almost think he's more of a product of volume than he is of talent, which scares me a little bit.
Yes and no.
It's just like every single game you get a new Josh Jacobs. You know, it's a coin flip. Are we getting the good one or are we getting the mediocre one?
3.6 yards per carry.
Michael Pittman, player or pick?
Pick.
Pittman, I've been warming up to like a little bit, but his price is still crazy to me.
His price is way too high. I think you can get more than. I think you can get more than the pick. Honestly,
That's the thing.
Right now.
I'm still gonna take the pick, but yeah,
I'll take the pick.
I think I'm gonna go with Pittman.
Oh,
this is one I don't really
good.
hate. I don't hate it
doesn't
as
feel
much.
good.
It doesn't
does
feel
not
great.
The thing about Pittman is that I kind of gave up him. I liked him a lot his rookie year, kind of gave up on him, but now I'm kind of back on the train where like I like the prospect, the draft capital is good, the situation is good. I think the talent is good. I think he checks enough boxes. It's not the sexiest thing, but I'm gonna take the player. I like Pittman. TJ Hawkinson.
Hawkinson.
I'm also gonna go Hawkinson.
Are we also assuming this is tight end premium?
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Hawkinson.
Really? JT has been in his little fan over Hawk, I feel like, for years now.
Oh yeah, I'm that plant is well planted. I think I take the pick.
Okay.
Would you take Fant? Would you take Fant over the pick?
No. Well, I mean, I just know that pick is worth more than Fant. Like,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Derek Carr. This is the last one.
Pick.
Carr.
I'm taking Carr.
I'm going with the pick.
Oh, that is not what I thought you would have said. But welcome.
I think Derek Carr's actually reached potentially overvalued territory. I remember 2 years ago, I was nabbing Derek Carr's in like the 10th or 11th round of startups.
I'm known as a Derek Carr hater.
Dude, Derek Carr to me was what Mac Jones, what people think Mac Jones is. I was like, sweet QB2, Derek Carr, let's go.
I know, but I think Derek Carr is gonna have like Darren Waller's back, Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah, the offense is great, but I don't know.
Renfro is a number 3 option. It's pretty nice.
All right, now we're doing the same thing, player versus pick, but it's now player and a second round pick
for that
versus
first.
the pick. So you're getting the player and a second round pick. So let's start off. This is one that I was trying to offer out. Aaron Jones, player and second or pick.
And both picks are in 2024 still?
Yep.
I'll take Aaron Jones in the second.
Oh, I hate that I'm saying this, but I agree with Lounis.
Now, look, before you two answered, I was going to also agree, but I don't want to be on the side of you two. So, but no, I think I'm going to agree. I think I'll just take Aaron Jones in the second.
I'm going to go with the pick.
Oh,
damn.
The first, you're saying.
Which is funny. Yeah, which is funny because I took Aaron Jones in the startup for whatever reason, and now I'm trying to trade him in a second for the pick. Like, I'm in that exact scenario. All right, let's go with his counterpart, AJ Dillon. Player in second or pick?
I'll take the pick.
Wow, so you guys are just like Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon guys.
Yes. I'd rather have Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I think we would have seen it already is the thing. Like, that's my issue with Tony Pollard. It's my issue with Alexander Madison. Like, I mean, coaches could be dumb. Front office staff could be dumb. So, I mean, there's definitely a chance that that's the case.
If they were that high on Dillon, I don't think they're giving Aaron Jones that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go with the pick, but I thought that we would at least got a couple AJ Dillons.
A brutal draft.
No, right. I think I'll just take the pick.
Jameis Winston, player in second or pick?
Pick.
Not even
close. That was a contention.
Are you telling me, Jake? You're supposed to be the Jameis guy. You're supposed to be licking the Dubs. Come on.
Jake has consistently been the fake Jameis guy. Like, he comes on this pod, he's the Jameis guy, but then you try and trade Jake Jameis, he won't do it. He's the fake Jameis guy. It's all show. Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, there's no refute.
Yeah.
I just love him. I think his character, as a character, if we were making a movie, he's number one character.
He's a good locker room guy to have on your fantasy team.
Alberto, player in second or pick? Tight end premium. I'll give you that.
Pick.
Oh, pick.
I like Alberto, but like that's trading 2 mid-seconds for first.
Next tight end, Cole Kmet, player in second or pick?
Pick.
Still pick.
Yeah, still pick. Damn, tight ends getting no love. I thought I was gonna get one of you guys. I was thinking that maybe I could get JT with the Alberto hype.
No,
not happening.
First.
Juju Smith-Schuster, player in second or pick?
You're starting to talk to me. You're starting to talk more in my lane.
Speaking your language, yeah, nice.
I don't want to speak Cubanese.
After all that, though, I think I'm going to say pick. No, actually, I'll take Juju in the second.
What was his contract with the Chiefs? Was it 2 years?
1 year, like
one
contracts.
Incentive. Give me the 10 mil. Give me the incentive is easy. I'm pretty sure.
Give me the first.
I'm gonna take Juju.
I don't know what I'm gonna take. I don't know.
Am I on the island for this one?
Wait, you would take the pick?
I'm taking the first.
I want Juju, yeah. So, I mean, it's up to Frank.
I'm going to take the pick.
Yeah. Not alone.
Mike Williams, player or pick?
Mike Williams.
I'm taking Mike Williams and the second.
Pick. Easy.
I think you just have bad taste in your mouth from Mike Williams.
Mike Williams is a fucking fraud.
Similar to Jake, Mike Williams is a fraud, and I will take the first round pick.
I like Mike Williams. I'm still going to take the first round pick.
Oh, now I'm on the island.
Michael Gallup.
Good.
Player in second or pick?
Pick. Michael Gallup's going to be a wide receiver 3 on this offense again. They're going to draft first.
That's what I'm scared of. Like,
did Joe Herbert was pick duh for one of the tight ends or Jameis?
I don't know.
I think it's gotta be Jameis. Like, that wasn't even. I don't know who you thought you were gonna get bite on that. I guess Jake.
Me. It's gonna get me.
I thought the player in seconds were gonna be closer than the straight up first for players, but apparently not.
Well, I think
I'm also gonna go with the pick over Gallup.
We don't talk enough about how Gallup has a torn ACL. Like he's not going to be ready.
That is true. I keep forgetting that.
Even if he is, like, he's not going to be 100%. Like,
I like Gallup. I think Gallup is good. It's just I think he's like a Juju.
I think he's better than Juju.
Disagree.
Yeah, there it is. That's all my player picks.
Okay.
Oh, that.
All right.
I like the
We kind of
Jameis one.
steamrolled through those. I like that.
I mean, the contentious ones have been always contentious on this podcast. So I'm the Bateman guy. Jake just hates the Ravens. Like it's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else we talked about. Mike Williams.
Dude, Joe Herbert is just pick city. I mean, I guess we all have been.
Yeah,
pick
we all.
city for this.
I think we all were. So I don't know. Maybe that might be something.
I'm still laughing at pick. Duh. That's so funny.
Seems like we should try and make this happen, though, if we can do it. Like, just trade X player plus a second for a first.
Duh was Jameis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could get a first for Jameis in a second, do that right now. I don't know what league you can, but
bulk trade. I mean, I was supposed to say something about the bulk trades at the beginning. I forgot to. I want to pull up the comment. I'm going to pull up the comment really quickly because last episode, was it last episode? I'm not getting this wrong.
Well, I think it was 2. I think
we've done it. We did it 2 in a row. We first put Marquez Valdes-Scantling on the block 2 weeks ago. We started you were doing the bulk trade in that league that we took over, and then last week I was talking about Albert O, and I was putting him out for the seconds.
Oh.
So we've done it 2 weeks in a row. We've talked about bulk trading.
Bang! I'm good, dude. Look at this. Gabriella Jenkins, Hermosa Alessión. What is all this stuff? Look at it. This isn't even. I don't know what's going on here. Bang! Remove. Look at this. Though this is what actually is supposed to be talking about. David. Oh God, I'm screwing this up royally here. Oh God.
What was this comment?
I'm going to read out in a second once I can get it on the screen. I have to tell you guys something. Although a bit worried Frank's head might explode, I scoffed at his bulk offer theory, but was selling Albert O. Was going to settle for any second, any year. Started with 201 to 206. Was then going to move to 2023, then 2024, then back to 207 to 212. Somebody bit at 205. So, yup, good advice, Frank. And guess what? The other episode, when we were selling Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I offered him for, I think, 20 second-round picks. We were insta-rejected on half of them before I could finish offering. It took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks. But guess what trade went down this morning? Marquez Valdes-Scantling for a 2024 second. Bulk offering when selling is OP. It is OP. If you are selling players, bulk offer. You have to. It is so cash. It is like any one of those players that you're like, shit, like he's worth a second on keep trade cut, but I offered him to this guy and I couldn't get a second. I offered him to 2 people. Like, fuck it. Bulk offer his ass for every second round pick in existence. It is OP.
Oh my God, that comment's hilarious. I
just love I scoffed at his bulk offer theory.
Yeah.
I was rolling when I read that.
I'm getting 205.
Oh, Robert Miller. Oh my God.
I love Robert Miller's comments in this. If you would like to do the honors and read it, Jake. All right, you can.
I don't think I can.
Okay. Robert Miller goes, "Hey guys, in my super flex league where I lost in the championship game, I traded my 2022 first, Mac Jones, and my 23 first for Deshaun Watson. Will my acquisition give my team a happy ending?" We not condone that, but I think that's a very solid trade.
I think it's a great trade, especially if he says he just lost in the championship, which means he has a contender roster. So those picks would probably be at the end of the first.
Yeah,
I mean, in the 3rd and 20 league, I traded Mac Jones and 3 firsts for Josh Allen. So I think getting 1 less first and Deshaun Watson's probably pretty good.
Well, some dude, the startup that I'm doing had an interesting deal where he traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds, which for the pick that ended up being Kyler Murray. Now, I think Kyler Murray fell a little bit, but nonetheless, it felt like a good deal for Kyler Murray. I mean, I feel like it's a relatively similar price for Watson. I mean, maybe we took Mac Jones 3-1 the pick. Mac Jones over the pick, so maybe Mac Jones worth a little bit more than 2 seconds, but I can't imagine a ton more. So I think that's a fine trade. Also, kind of funny, the Mike Vick. There was like a Mike Vick thing, a Football Life, I think, on about him when he went to the Eagles, which was kind of just funny. Speaking of the topic. And like all the backlash from the fans and everything. Yeah. I completely forgot about that.
What? The fact that
the backlash. Not that I completely
the
forgot
got
that
a ton of backlash.
Yeah, but it felt like, at least from my perspective, it went away kind of quick. I mean, they played pretty well that season.
Well, no, because when he signed, he was originally third string behind Donovan McNabb and Kevin Cobb, and then like everyone was like there were a ton of people against it. There was like signs at games and shit. And then everyone loved him as soon as the next year. Kevin Cobb was supposed to be the starter. He was the backup. Cobb gets injured. He comes in, goes off. And then everyone loved him. But when he first signed, it was like a lot of backlash.
Yeah, dude, look at this. P to the R. I got a 23-second for Devontae Booker by doing that last year. It works. Bulk trade OP. Do we want to get into Pierre Strong, or should we just save him for next episode?
We can save him. I feel like we already tarnished all those running backs. they took enough beating for one episode.
All right, well, I got nothing else.
All right. I mean, things are about to heat up with the draft coming up, so I think we'll get some.
Also, real quick, everyone in the chat, if you enjoyed this episode, throw us a thumbs up. Helps us out with our videos. But yeah, we're about to have a bunch of. I don't know if we want to start talking on it yet, but we're gonna have kind of similar to what we did last year with like a draft stream and everything.
I have something to unveil. I have a little teaser. I have something to unveil next episode. So
next episode
should be.
Yep.
You're teasing the teaser.
Next episode, I got something to show you guys.
Oh, yeah, I guess other updates. That league that I want to do, the startup league, I think we're gonna do that after the draft, or potentially like during one of the draft streams. We could set it up because we're gonna be
interesting.
I mean, we're gonna be streaming like during the entire draft. So
yeah.
If you got nowhere else to watch it, especially the later days, come hang out. It's gonna be a shit show again, probably.
Oh yeah. No, we have to readjust the wheel.
We're not doing
readjust the wheel.
There are no cracked eggs or milk.
Yeah,
the gallon of milk. I'm so happy I didn't get the gallon of milk.
Oh my god. I threw up like 4 times. Oh, that's disgusting.
Dude, my bathroom was destroyed with eggs and just
all just
milk.
Oh
my god.
Didn't I get like 12 eggs the first night? Something crazy. It was like double-digit eggs.
Yes, thank you so much, Skull Dynasty. I really appreciate it. So yeah, that'll be it from us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace out.